Hi, my name's Anusha Bradley. I'm so pleased to host this panel of former Jehovah's Witnesses who have all really in their different forms turned their grief, loss and trauma of once belonging to this religion into activism and art. We have Shane Meechan, Lara Kaput and Scott Homan. And Scott, your documentary Witness Underground, the central theme to that is around shunning. Is that what sort of sparked your decision to make the documentary?
Yes, the theme of the movie is shunning, and that's the one thing that I feel is universal to everyone who leaves the religion, is that you get shunned. Whether you get kicked out or you leave on purpose or you fade away, at some point you're cut off from your community. And I was sort of shocked that that happened to me because my parents were really bad at being Jehovah's Witnesses, and so were my brothers and sisters. Like, we were really on the fringes, and my parents joined it late in life and tried to raise us in it, but they didn't really want to go either. So I had this weird, I was living in two worlds. My mom never was really taking it seriously. So when I walked away from it, I was like, well, they'll never do that shunning thing. They're not even shunning the people that are disfellowshipped that we were related to, which means you're kicked out officially. And so when I left and then they cut me off, it was like, you're joking. I'm gonna make a scene about this on the internet. And then later, I waited for a lot of years, then later I was like, I watched every movie while a Jehovah's Witness about Jehovah's Witnesses from the outside perspective. That affected me in a positive way. I should make a movie. I'm going to figure out how to make a movie to tell this crazy story. So I spent 5 years studying film and then did it.
I'd just be interested to know if each of you could share what prompted you to leave and at what age did this happen?
Oh, it's a really long path and there's a lot of nuance to it. For maybe someone on the outside, it'd be like, you're in or you're out, but I feel like it's like a 7-year process going from physically in, mentally in, to physically out, mentally in, to maybe going back to it, and then finally being physically out and mentally out, but then beginning the process of deconstructing that. And for me, I left at 19, and then went back to it on terms with my dad, and then finally left it in 2008 when I was 27. And the shocking thing was I found out that their entire belief system is based on really poor foundations. And the film actually discusses Noah's Ark, which sounds maybe silly to everyone because it's an allegory. But finding out that it's all made up, it's all fiction, mythology, and you have to believe everything they teach. Sorry, it's more than two sentences.
That's good, thank you. I know it's complex, yeah. Lara.
I was also 19, and the Jehovah's Witnesses were just so misogynist. I didn't want to live in paradise on earth forever with Jehovah's Witnesses. They were just so hypocritical, and that just wasn't a bonus for me. Yeah.
Can you maybe each describe why you have chosen the form of activism that you have? Scott.
Filmmaking, okay. And also I have a YouTube channel. So I started out doing a YouTube channel interviewing ex-members in a sort of documentary style and getting their story, but it was sort of a life after angle, what happens after you have complete freedom, and then but you came from this bizarre background, transformative moment. There's hundreds of channels on TikTok, with Nikki, YouTube and Instagram, etc., of people talking about their stories, and a lot of it I was seeing was dealing with, I found that there was a hole not being served, basically. And a lot of the media is well, this is what the Watchtower wrote in the 1940s, and then they wrote this in the 1980s. Can you believe how crazy that is? And it's blocks of text, and it's referencing, and then they read their actual magazines, and they're recording their presentations that the religion puts out, and then commenting on it. And it feels like you're going to church, and you're not out of it. The activists aren't out of it. And who's this for? I don't want to spend any more time in my life reading the Watchtower. It's a complete waste of time. And I wanted to make something that was celebrating someone that got out. And a lot of the movies that had come out about the witnesses, but also a lot of religions, it felt like they were...
Dark?
Yeah, they're dark, thank
Negative?
you. Also, keep going. This is fun.
They're good though.
No, they deal with the trauma side, and they get someone to cry on camera and roll credits.
So it's almost voyeuristic.
Voyeuristic, and the audience is supposed to pity them. Mm-hmm. And for me, it's no, the best part of life started there, and then everything became awesome after that. Let's show that. What is that thing? and I don't know if it worked. I'm still waiting to find out. Like, you're the target audience, so I need you to do a review on Rotten Tomatoes and share it with all your friends and tell the world.
Yeah. Awesome, thank you, Scott. It must take a huge personal toll or cost.
Yeah, making the movie was hard. I had a lot of hit my limit and had to like take a 6-month break a bunch of times. So sorry for the delay if anybody was paying attention since 2018. But I also did like an interview series, like I was saying. And actually, that's fun because I like gamified YouTube, like how do I get the most views as a challenge. But yeah, it takes a toll. Interviewing people that have gone through this kind of thing, like in a sense it's playing therapy, but I'm not trained at all. We even talked about this offline, about trauma-informed as a term, and like, we're traumatized. So like, I get it, but I don't have the skill set or the training. So I end up like probably needing to, like therapists need therapy. And so if you're like in that space, you probably need to like get more services from professionals to like deal with it.
What's been the impact of your film, especially in terms of the people that feature in it?
Oh, I think it's been interesting because when we shot it, it was so long ago for them, and that was sort of like their going public with this topic. But the film didn't come out for so long publicly. It just came out this year, a few months ago. And I think they want to be detached from it at this point, because it was such a long time scale from shooting to release that without giving any personal information away, they've reached out to me in different ways that have been like, they're traumatized right now. Mm-hmm. And because it's like a coming out moment for them. So, tricky. Yeah. Not easy.
How do you navigate that? How are you navigating it?
Any professional who knows how to navigate that, like, let's talk. I'm not sure. It's not going great. But at the same time, like, they have their whole lives, and we're just not that close. Like, there was a time where we were really close, and so it's like, it's always ebbing and flowing. I would like there to be more connection, but ultimately, yeah, everyone needs to get their own professional services.
Yeah. Shane, what keeps driving you to advocate for people, for former Jehovah's Witnesses in these issues?
There's a need. More and more stories keep coming forward, and you just listen. I know some of my clients, because I clean carpets, and you talked about time. Well, I'm cleaning carpets. I know how to clean a carpet. I can talk on the phone, and they hear some interesting conversations, and they go, "Oh, what was wrong with that person?" But I have to. When you do it because there's a need. So yeah, I've been able to educate people. Well, this is what actually happens in these high control groups, and they go, "No," but it's true. And so, motivation, it's just wanting to help, to support, because they struggle. They really, really struggle. They think they're by themselves. And so, I guess that's the motivation I've got. So, yeah.
And Lara, when you're doing all these submissions and talking to all these important people, like what keeps driving you to do this? Is there a personal toll to that?
Yeah, there definitely is a personal toll. I definitely relate to the ebb and flow. For example, the religion attacks me. They have cult apologists that have written articles about me in multiple languages. The
Badge of honor.
Badge of honor, yeah. It's a bit stressful. But I have nightmares still. And but what drives me is, just like I can see the audience in front of me today, I can see the children. I can see the next generation of children and the one after that suffering what we did if I don't keep going. So I can't stop because we have to stop it in our generation. Otherwise they're going to end up like us, and I don't want that to happen.
Thank you.
So I'm driven by the kids, yeah.
I'm just wondering, did you ever get any feedback from the Watchtower as to your film yet?
I really thought that was going to like make it blow up. It's getting litigated. So I kind of hoped on some level that would happen. Like you
Sorry.
made it. Yeah, you got it. I was doing the wrong avenue. So no, I've like heard absolutely nothing. I've heard from not one single active witness that they've actually watched it. The only thing that's been happening that's like super interesting to me is I never watched a movie and was like, wow, I like that movie. I need to find out the guy who made that or the person who made that and write them a letter about how it made me feel. And I'm getting that. That's cool. I'd prefer a review on Rotten Tomatoes. But it's really heartwarming and really cool that like someone's like, this really hit me so much that I had to go find out who made it. I'm gonna write them a letter. So it's really awesome. And so it's hitting a note emotionally.
It's also rewarding, right, guys?
Yeah.
So even though it is hard, and yes, we do cry sometimes, there's a huge reward when you know someone wrote to you and you wrote back and it made their day.
Yeah.
Or someone really needs to have a coffee and you're willing to go and do that. Or someone benefited from something you wrote 3 years ago and now it's changed the law. There's a huge amount of reward.
Yeah. Okay. She asked how you can see my film Witness Underground. So it's very simple. I made a website, witnessunderground.com. It is a film about Jehovah's Witnesses escaping a cult using self-expression and music. And they were a music scene of hundreds of kids making bands for 17 years in the religion, and then like getting out and making even more music that's more powerful without any limitations. And it's on witnessunderground.com, so you can see all the links to watch. International premiere was last night, but it is available in New Zealand to watch.
Well, I've watched it twice in here in New Zealand, so I can't remember which one it was. But what I found with going to the biggest screen, I go, I don't remember that. There were so many points that I got out of it after watching it a number of times.
I watched it on Tubi in Australia, so that works.
Okay.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much. Oh, we've got time for 2B.
Perfect, thank you.
One more. I think we had one more question. Is it Ulrika?
Please watch the film, Witness Underground. It's really wonderful. And there was talk about how to reach politicians. Politicians are people, and people are moved by stories more than by anything else. So in my experience, it's good when someone is willing to tell a story, their own story. That might be in a media, give an interview.
Exactly.
So films, they are very impressive. And these, sometimes it could be just one person who is at the right time. He is writing a letter to politicians, maybe, or asking for an audience and tell about the story. So it's really a small group of people, and singular people can make quite an impact. And I have one question for you. We always think about how can we reach children. This is a government problem. How can we get access to children in closed groups, in high control groups? Is there anything that, from your own perspective, what would help you if a government have whatever interventions? Can you think of anything?
There are some interventions that could be done, but they haven't been done. So one intervention could be a legislative requirement to put support on the jw.org website. So that's the official Jehovah's Witness website. On cigarette packages in Australia, we have warnings. There's no warnings on the churches.
Oh, wow.
There's no warnings on their websites. Why couldn't that be legislated? I know in Canada, when the class action was happening, they were looking at considering options like that, of actually mandating having training or support available on their website, because a lot of their kingdom halls or churches are closing down, so there's no point putting a sign out the front. But there should be warnings about these.
Like at the end of a medicine commercial, they have to say like this can cause nausea or death. Like this religion might cause nausea or death.
Yeah.
So that would not reach the children or the youth in the group. How? Because this is more like someone who is interested in a group, first generation.
So
how do I get to second generation?
Maybe Mickey has the answer with
TikTok.
with TikTok and other social media forms, social media advertising would be a way. Another way is one of my suggestions in the submission was to have human rights training. We are not taught about human rights. For example, we know about freedom of religion, but we don't know about freedom from religion. So we should be allowed to leave, and therefore I suggest that children are taught human rights, including that they should have freedom from religion.
Once again, Anusha, thank you very much for the work you have done and continue to do to educate the country of New Zealand, and it goes around the world, as to the problems within these high control groups. Because, yeah, you focus on the JWs, but every other group has similar things, just different titles for those things. So thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
Thanks so much to our fantastic panel of Scott, Lara, Shane, and by video, Mickey. And especially it's really great, as the young people say, to see Anusha Bradley getting her flowers today, and just great recognition.